Do you want to introduce the guest so you don't fucking yell at me later?
No, let's not introduce the guest.
I thought we were just going to open with the open-ended question of do reptiles regrow their dicks?
Do reptiles
That's
regrow
what I
their
was
dicks?
expecting.
Why? Where?
Yeah, do they?
Did you pull one off and now you're worried? Like,
Just in case, you know, for later generations, just so that I know my children are safe.
they regrow tails, right?
Yeah, tails, but do they regrow other...
Do reptiles have dicks?
Yeah,
Don't
need
they lay
to have.
eggs? I don't know.
They need to have.
Do they?
Do people with dicks lay eggs? That doesn't seem particularly...
Yeah, because reptiles lay eggs, bro. They're like halfway between...
Yeah, but even chickens got dicks.
Even chickens. What?
They do?
I would have thought
Yeah, they
chickens
do.
would have had dicks.
They do. It's just it's very tiny.
So what's...
Roosters, I guess. Yeah.
Rooster, yeah, exactly. Not
Yeah.
chickens, but like roosters. Yeah.
Did you hear about the guy in Scotland who got a robotic dick?
Whoa,
No, what's
he's
this?
got a robotic.
Oh, so check this out. So he was yeah, he was in a car accident when he was like a kid, like 10, 11, never had a dick. And then he got like an operation on the NHS and he was like in his mid-20s to get like a bionic dick.
Okay.
So he's got this dick where like, he's never thumbing in a softie because he just presses a button. Like it makes it erect. And then because like it was such a big local news story, like the most famous local prostitute gave him a free shag to celebrate him getting a dick for the first time in his life.
No way.
They have a camera crew in there. It's like, we're here to celebrate.
What competition
No,
took place?
it wasn't like a porno like Robocock. It was just like just a genuine true story that happened in the news.
No
and they didn't
way.
film it.
The camera is included.
They interviewed him
in the dick.
after the sex,
Yeah.
and it was just really weird.
I want to
It's just
know.
this weird Scottish guy. Oh, it was great. I had a wonderful time. It was everything I expected and more. Like he's just fucking won The Apprentice or some shit. Like I made friends for life. So weird.
That's bizarre. I want to know more details now. Is it like somehow connected to his nervous system, or what is there pleasure associated?
Does it
Yeah, I
extend
think it's
like...
like you know how like you get the phantom arms,
Yeah.
or like the bionic arms. It's just a bionic dick in that
Yeah.
regards. It's connected to its nervous
I have two
system.
questions,
I
Banks, now.
guess I don't know how advanced those are now. What?
One, does it extend like Inspector Gadget?
Yeah, I don't think he can just like whip out a dick at will, like just like
presses
meet
the
girl.
turbo
Like,
button and he just...
okay, we need an extra 2 inches here. Like,
Yeah, he presses the turbo button, just pops out her front.
Eject in
Impaled.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Second
1.
question. What competition took place to establish the #1 prostitute to fuck him?
okay, I may have touched that bit of the story up. She was just like a famous prostitute in the area. I don't think she'd won like I don't think she had an accolade.
Top
I don't think you go to
0.1%
her house for like a
OnlyFans.
session and she's got like a little trophy on the wall with her name etched onto it.
Silver OnlyFans
#1 prostitute in Kirkcaldy. She was just a famous prostitute in the area. She wanted some clout.
Yeah.
Want to do a guy a favor. Everybody's happy. Everyone's a winner, baby.
Does he use ejaculation as like a defense mechanism?
This is one
Because-
thing I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's like a squid, like he just ejaculates like fucking ink, or he's got to like top that up or some shit. I don't know how that works.
Reload it. He needs
How does he
to
wash
reload
it?
He gets out
Yeah.
of traffic tickets or just squirting the guy's the policeman's face. Yeah.
Basically, this is a lie. He's just got a super soaker that he sellotaped to his pants, and that's what he keeps there.
That's insane.
Makes me want to chop my own dick off and go for that.
The-
treatment.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
want to
Of
have
course.
buttons for my dick. I want to have buttons.
Get as hammered as you like. Never have
Imagine
to worry
if the
about anything.
next generation can swirl round and shit, do all the moves. Bro, there's going to be a business in this. Bionic dicks. Imagine having two just left and right.
having two.
You can
Do you know,
go
like,
wild now. Now that
fuck
they
it.
did it and it works, it's just going to go wild.
Yeah, fuck
I'm
it.
surprised Elon Musk hasn't invested in this shit yet.
Sure he has. bro.
Give
Sure
him
he
a few
has.
more years. Well,
Nah, man, he's already facing like sexual harassment charges of flight attendants.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how much worse that would be if he'd be like, name anything that's weird about me if I did sexually harass you? And she's like, you have a robot dick. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm rumbled. I'm rumbled.
It's just for a joke. It's just for a joke. Robocop. Look.
yeah. Is there actually any serious I just saw an article which is like not properly sourced and
Yo, in this day and age, I don't
Yeah.
even know how you like how you say if these things are true or not. There's so many like Chinese whispers out there.
Sure,
Papers will share anything to share it first, as opposed to like if another paper has shared it, the rest of the papers will share it and claim.
True. They just reprint.
We don't need to fact check it. It's their story.
Yeah.
So somebody said it. It's in all the main papers.
But is there a legal case? I'm saying is there? You don't know.
I think there is a legal case.
Okay.
There was definitely not, but I think she's taking Tesla to court or something.
Okay. Because
Or SpaceX. I
thought the whole case was because they paid off a settlement earlier or something.
I think
that was the claim.
They found out that Tesla paid this lady to shut the fuck up.
I like the little detail that was in the article is that he offered to buy her a horse.
What?
That's some real billionaire shit. It's like, he's like requesting, special full body massage or whatever. And one of the things he supposedly said was that he would buy her a horse.
Can you imagine having so much money you could trade a horse for a hand job? Like my economy has not reached that level yet. If I get a horse, I'm selling that shit for money.
Not just any horse. It had to be something nice because she was apparently a horseback rider or whatever. So he's like, I'll get you an Arabian.
He's also like Elon Musk. You're gonna be like, give me a hand job, I'll give you a horse, and just returns a fucking donkey. It's an absolute screwed up mongrel looking horse.
Yeah, just with a nice coat over it.
Why doesn't he just buy his own stewardess?
I don't know.
You'd think it would just be easier to separate that, wouldn't it? Just have stewardess who are hired legally and have just some escorts on the plane for your own fun.
Yeah.
What's this guy's name? The American dude who's like a poker, like he did a lot of
Dan Bilzerian.
Yeah, exactly. What's up, Elon Musk?
That guy's
I think he
fucking
can learn
fraud,
from him.
bro. That guy has that's all his daddy's money. And he's just
definitely.
spending
Is it? I thought he was like a poker champion /
Oh,
marine.
no,
or
there's been a
something.
big review on YouTube like last year. Some guy did a video like an hour and a half.
We're reviewing people now?
Yeah. Broke down the story. Basically,
We're going to test it, unbox Dan Bilzerian today.
his daddy was a hedge fund manager, and he made a lot of money busting out companies in the 80s and 90s. So they would buy like a controlling stake in a company and then go sell all their assets, bankrupt the company, sell everything. So like breaking cars for parts, basically.
Okay, yeah.
So he made billions doing that, and now that dickhead is spending it. But he couldn't just say, "Oh, I'm 38 with a beard and an 8-pack, and I'm spending my daddy's money with 25 bitches on a yacht." No, he had to invent.
Is that why he fell off? Kind of.
Because it was revealed that this guy he has no poker skills. So there's been for years. There's been like videos of like this guy doesn't know how to play poker. Like pro players just looking at his play, be like, this makes no sense. This is what a beginner would do. How this guy never won $50 million at a table.
But he hires models in his mansion, and it looks like
models in his mansion.
He looks like a nice guy.
He doesn't look like he needs poker skills, to be entirely honest.
Yeah.
But like a lot of those things sort of came out 10, 12 years ago. Like before, it was as the internet was starting to put out these like viral videos, these influencers, and like now we're seeing like it's all become a lot more transparent. But back then it was like, Dan Bilzerian came on scene, everyone thought he was this legend, and now it turns out he doesn't even know how to play poker, and all these women are just paid for. Did you remember the Coney 2012?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that shaped it. Everything that came after Trump, Brexit.
Wait, what happened?
Do you don't remember Coney 2012?
No.
Joseph Coney.
So basically, like this video, it was like the first viral video on social media, like ever. It got like billions of views, and it like showed everyone, but mainly political scientists, how you can mobilize people using viral videos.
Oh, okay.
So this guy from America who knew nothing about really, he'd been there for like 2 weeks on like a volunteer thing, like voluntourism.
Yeah.
Basically found out about this guy called Joseph Kony, who was like quite a brutal dictator who like led his own child army and like abducted children and then made him join his army. He was a pretty terrible human being. But he made this really emotional, great video, quite heartfelt, and encouraged people like, we're going to find Kony in 2012.
I think I remember this.
And encouraged all these kids to like order the starter pack. So we all paid like £25, and then like a month later we were going to reclaim the night and walk around the streets demanding that we catch Joseph Kony. Like all these kids who knew nothing about Uganda, who knew nothing about the complexities of the politics and how the world works over there. We were like, yeah, we will catch Kony. Like billionaires like dedicated helicopters to the search and shit like that. And then a week later the guy just went crazy. Turns out he knew nothing about Uganda. Ugandan people were quite offended by the video, and then he got hit by so much like viral fame he went mental, and they just found him wanking in front of cars like a week later, and then he just went and got sectioned.
As you do.
That was that. Nobody went out and reclaimed the night.
That's it.
To this day, Kony's still not been found.
Yeah.
So they did really get him, kind of. They broke him from the inside.
No, the guy who started. The guy who started the.
Who was the guy joking in front of cars?
The guy who started the video. That wasn't Kohli.
Oh,
that'd be nuts if he came out of the jungle with his child army, just ran onto a highway, started working in front of cars.
That is a crazy ending to it, though. It almost seems like somebody wrote it. You know? I think if that shit came out now, everybody would have like 3 conspiracy theories about it.
I wonder if that shit was even real. It was just like a big test, like a CIA's big fucking draft.
That would not
published draft
at all. That would not surprise me at all.
Typical psyop, whatever.
What other outrage has there been? What outrage have you taken part in? What's the last outrage?
No, nothing recent. I'm dead inside.
I try and stay away from that shit because, like it's never what you think it is. It's almost never what you think it is, and 90% of it is a Russian troll farm. So.
Yeah, totally, man. You know, Russia tried to hire me.
Yeah.
What? I'm a Russian. I was nearly like a Russian spy.
Yeah.
It's like part of my Edinburgh show. In like 2014, I wasn't thinking too much about politics, but I was aware that like Russia had invaded, or at least helped separatists cause chaos in the Crimea, Donbass region. But I wasn't really that close to that. It didn't really mean much to me. I didn't know much about it. And then Russia Today like approached me to run a satirical TV show for them, where I only centralize Western governments. And I ain't gonna say whether I was gonna do it. That's sort of the ending to my fringe show.
It was money.
It was a lot of money. Oh, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know anybody in Ukraine. The more I did think about it, like, but I would just thought, you know what, you can't really put this on yourself. Like you're working a job. It's a big opportunity. But then like kind of, 6 years later or whatever it is, I'm like, oh shit, that was probably more. I was literally like a Russian weapon of mass destruction. Yeah. They were calling him. There was another guy, an open mic. He like did shows in Nottingham. His name was like Graham Kelly, I think his name was. Maybe not Graham Kelly, but something like that. Maybe it was Gary Kelly. But he was an open mic in Nottingham. And then he like left the comedy scene and moved to Ukraine and started setting up blogs on like reviewing the different brothels in Kiev. That's what he was doing. And the next thing I heard about him in between that time and now was like a few weeks ago when he got cited in Parliament as being guilty of war crimes by making videos for the Russian army where they paraded around Ukrainian prisoners of war, 2 of whom were from the UK.
Right.
And I was just like, what the fuck? The guy was reviewing brothels. What a change. How did you go from reviewing brothels to like
a
literal weapon of Russian mass destruction? That is a switch.
Yeah. Did they want you to broadcast from the UK, or they expected you to move?
Yeah, they want me a broadcaster from the UK. They do a lot, not just with comedians. They do, like, if you notice, it's all our most extreme politicians that go on Russia Today, regardless of which side you're on. Like, it's Alex Salmond, who's a Scottish separatist, or Nigel Farage, who wants the UK out of the EU.
Sixth form, bro.
Sorry?
Came to my sixth form. Nigel Farage came to my sixth form and spoke to the whole sixth form. Like, sixth form is when you're 17, 18.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the last 2 years before you go to university, and do you guys know who Nigel Farage is?
Sort of, yeah.
I think so.
I mean,
so he set up UKIP, the UK Independence Party, right?
Okay.
So Brexit was his primary aim.
Okay.
But he's also a very blatant, outward racist. Like, it's not very hidden. Anyone that's had a private conversation with him,
that's
he's like one of those guys that races in the first 15 seconds of the conversation, like taxi drivers.
He doesn't do a little test, pinprick test first, kind of like
no. The taxi drivers, they do litmus tests. They're like, oh, this country ain't where it used to be, mate. Oh,
and they just leave it hanging. They just leave
these Polish coming. Anyway, so he was talking about immigration, blah blah blah, and I started parring him. I stood up and started parring this guy, like, what he's saying is wrong. This data has been disproven. Whatever. That's the fucking. You have a racist thesis operating. Whatever. And the guy literally said to me, I'll never forget this in my life. This is how stupid he thinks people are. He said, "I couldn't possibly be racist. My wife is German."
German.
Yeah.
German.
Wow.
Out of all nationalities.
But I tricked him. I tricked the fuck because he's talking about Turkish and Polish immigration, and he said something like, he literally said the difference between us and them is. He literally said those words, and I just said, I am not in your us. I am Polish, and just sat down. There was no applause because this was Kent, and everybody agreed with him. So. There was actually boys posting on Facebook how inspired they were by his speech. I'm like, I should probably quit this fucking country very, very soon. Yeah, weird fucking guy.
Raul, you're from Newcastle?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Do you still live there or no?
Yeah, I was living in London before the pandemic, and then I moved back to Newcastle, I don't know. I like Newcastle, but I'm probably gonna have to move back to London on my. It's just too far away from everywhere. Our trains they're not fixed. They will be like £1,000 on the day or something. So just the extra costs in the travelling is just killing me here.
How far away is that from London? I have no clue.
3 hours on the fast train. 3.5, 4 hours on the fast train.
All right, yeah, that's significant.
Wow.
What's the most recent crazy story to come out of Newcastle? What happens there? No robotic dicks there. No
robotic dicks. I mean, the two crazy stories I can think of off the top of my head that came out of Newcastle in terms of like local folklore. There's loads of interesting historical stories. I'm working on a history series about them. The Lion King actually happened there, as did the story of either Atlantis or Noah and the Ark.
Of course, of course it did.
But in terms of just local hilarious stories, you probably want to either talk about. We never rioted. We're a pretty small, tight-knit community. It's like the smallest big city. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it has a bit of a town village-like vibe where sometimes everybody knows each other. A goldfish bowl is sometimes what's called. People know each other's business. We never riot. Like, even when the London riots happened in 2012 and the whole country was on fire, Newcastle did not riot at all. Yeah. We have, like, a good, tight-knit sense of community. But then when we lost to our rivals, we lost to Sunderland in the football 6 times in a row. And after the 6th time we lost, the city just set on fire. Just a riot. And then there was this iconic image of a man in a football shirt wearing a fucking scarf over his mouth, and he just like squares up to this police horse and then just hits this police horse square in the face. And the police jumped the guy, arrest the guy. It was just this huge picture. Just like he went around the country like viral because this guy in a Newcastle shit just squaring up this horse. Like it's literally like on the other side of the octagon to him. Yeah. And so many things came out of this from there. Like, number one, people started writing letters to the horse because they felt really bad.
Poor horse.
Yeah, my friend has a joke about, I think it's Andy Fury has a great, no, it's Andy Fury or David Callahan. One of the two. Yeah. God, I really should be better at citing their jokes than that. But nonetheless, they like talking about like, you know, what happens if they're like sending cards where like, obviously the horse can't read, but like, the cards are made out of glue. Glue is made out of horses' feet. What the hell? Yeah. And on top of that, the guy went to court, and his court arguments are just some of the best I've ever seen in my life. Like he's in court, and they're like, okay, so like clearly you look like you're wanting to cause trouble. You're wearing a mask over your face. Why are you wearing a scarf over your face if you didn't want to cause trouble and hide your identity? And he's like, oh, I had toothache. And the wind was making my tooth cold. So I was covering my face. It's like, well, of course, okay, well, quite clearly you're violent. You hit this horse. Why did you hit this horse? He's like, oh, yeah, man, I thought the horse was going to hit me. Like, he wanted to fight with me, man. And then the other big story was the Raul Moat story, which happened in 2010. Are you aware of who Raul Moat is? I know my name is Raul.
I remember.
I have no relation to him. I've joked about it a lot in the Northeast comedy clubs.
I don't think so.
So Raul Moat was like, I don't know, it's probably the closest thing we have to like 9/11. It was like the biggest global news story.
2 policemen, right? Or 3?
Yeah, but it was like for a week we were just all over the European news. It was manhunt for this huge criminal.
Oh, yeah, he did stay free for quite a while.
Yeah, he was like he was hiding for a long time. So basically, this guy called Raul Moat came out of prison, found out his girlfriend was in a relationship with a new guy, was furious about it, walked over to the house. I think he rings the doorbell, shoots her, shoots him. Shit. I think she just about survived, but was in critical condition at this time period. I don't think the new boyfriend did. And then he just went on the run. Whoa. And so obviously it's like mad police warnings. Look, I actually got confused for him because the day he went on the run, the day he killed these people went on the run, was the day I went backpacking for the first time in my life to Europe.
No, man.
Yeah, your name is so my name's Raul. I'm from Newcastle.
And he didn't cancel your fucking backpacking. Like that's it.
Nah, I just thought like, you know, it's quite obvious I'm not him. Like this guy looks like a roided up white guy, and I'm like this time as well, a very skinny Asian guy. I'm like, no way I'm gonna get confused. To be fair, I was literally on the boat. I didn't know what was happening. It was like 3 days later I found out about it. But my second day I'm in Prague and I'm like having a drink with this guy from Swindon. We got on like a house on fire. His name's Stan Bonner. And basically he went home the next day and he goes home and his boys from Swindon in the pub are like, how is your backpacking trip? And he's telling them all the stories, and the last night he's like, oh, so I met this Geordie called Raul. We got on like a house on fire. We got hammered, this, that and the other. We talked about it. And then his mates are like, you do know, like, what day did you say this guy arrived in the Czech Republic? He's like, this day. He's like, you do know a day before that, a Geordie called Raul murdered loads of people and then just went missing. And he said, like, for a split second, he said he saw the pictures, realised there wasn't a roided white guy, and it was, like, obvious. But he said for a split second, it was, like, one of the biggest conundrums he'd ever faced. Because, like, I mean, on the one hand, if you'd killed all these people, that's a pretty unforgivable sin. Yeah. But on the other hand, You were such a laugh. You're such a good lad to drink with that I was just like, I can't hate this guy.
You don't see that?
Yeah, he went missing. So he was on the run for like 3 weeks.
Jeez.
And then the police eventually found him. And this is the great thing about Newcastle. When these rumours start, the word-to-word communication is so much quicker. That fake news gets around, but the fake news is always hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, we had a footballer who got photographed carrying a gun. It was on the front page of The Sun. Ooh. And the rumor, it wasn't true, but the rumor went round and was believed like wildfire.
Yeah,
that apparently in response to this, he went, I'm a gangster first, I'm a footballer second. And we fully believed this. Yeah. And so, like, one thing I believed, I remember my mum telling me, and I think it was completely bullshit, but is that he missed McDonald's too much, and that's why he gave himself away. He like, went into McDonald's to get cheeseburgers. I think that was bullshit, but my mum heard it, told me. Yeah. But anyway, what is true, and is all documented, was that he was on the... He basically eventually got found in a field in like the countrysides of Northumberland. There was a huge police standoff, and he was stood there with a gun to his head. Like, it was for ages. And the police wanted to taser him, but they did taser him, and in the end he did shoot himself, and nobody really knows if it was for the taser. Because he was a threat, man. Like, even while he was missing, he walked out of where he was hiding once, saw a police car, just walked up to the police car, sawn off shotgun, shot the policeman in the front of the car and went, "You'll never catch me," and walked off. But, weirdly, while he was at this standoff with the gun next to his head, do you know who turned up? Ooh. Paul Gascoigne, the footballer. Paul Gascoigne turned up with a chicken, a fishing rod, and a crate of beer.
What?
Claiming that he knew Raul Moat from when he used to walk, because he was a bouncer, he used to work the doors in town.
Yeah.
And that he brought him a chicken, a fishing rod, a crate of beer, and he'll talk him out of it. He'll just go for a bit of a fish, eat some chicken, two of the lads, talk their problems over, have some beer, and it'll all be chill.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
You can imagine everyone surprised who's in the pub. You got the news on in the background, and then this breaking news BBC bar. Breaking news! Star footballer Paul Gascoigne has showed up to the standoff. The police standoff with Raul Moat carrying a fishing rod, a crate of beer, and a chicken.
Was he like, Batman, don't worry, police, I got this.
He actually came to one of my shows, and Paul Gascoigne, not Raul Moat from the dead. But zombie Raul Moat. Paul Gascoigne came to one of my shows, and he told me how that happened. And he was he's basic. Do you know who Paul Gascoigne is?
No.
He's like a footballer. He was really good. Really good. Yeah. Played amazing for England, played amazing for Newcastle, played for Tottenham. Played for...
concussions.
Napoli, was it? Or Roma? He played for
something Italian.
Yeah. He really respected around the world for his football skills, but he basically was always a bit mentally ill. He was always a bit crazy.
Fucking concussions, you can't avoid that.
Yeah, when he left football,
loved the drink.
He loved the drink.
Loved the sniff.
Yeah, okay.
Completely went just even further west. And so he came to one of my shows, and he told me how that happened. He was like, "Oh, Raul, I tell you what happened. It was a bad period of my life. I was living in a hotel. I was addicted to Nintendo Wii. I just really loved the tennis, but I was also addicted to cocaine." I'm watching the news, and I'm watching this police standoff, and I'm going, this is horrible. This has nothing to do with me. And then I take one line and go, this is horrible. This has something to do with me. It's in the same city. So I take 2 lines. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know this Raul Moat bloke. Take 3 lines. I'm like, that's my best mate from the door, Raul. I'm bloody lying. He's my best mate. Take 5 lines. I'm like, I'm going to have to save me brother. It's like, I don't remember anything for the rest of the day. I remember turning up, don't remember happening. I just remember waking up the next day in bed. There's banging at me door like there's no tomorrow. I look at my phone, I've got over 1,000 missed calls. I turn on the TV and my name is plastered all over the news. I shout at the door, "Who is it?" He goes, "It's your dad, Paul, let us in." And I go, "Have I fucked up, Dad?" He goes, "You're fucking right, you have, let us in."
Wow, okay. All right, so clearly there's Newcastle's a chill town with a lot going under the surface, right?
Yeah, it's wild, man.
When you mentioned the match, it's like, okay, they were waiting for something to... There's something bubbling underneath the surface there, right?
Yeah, it's one of them interesting, but everyone's a character. There probably is alcohol problems. I've even had Irish people come over and be like, "You people drink to an unhealthy level." Like, and if Irish people are saying that, okay, there's definitely
something going on.
Pause for thought there. So it's like all of that. They like a good time. They love a cheap buzz. But it's also, I'd say, by and large, a city that has grown But while it's grown in proportion, I'd say the people's wages and living standards, by and large, in some deprived areas, not so much, but I think by and large, wages are sort of matched growth rates. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I think that's where like real trouble happens in city. Like there's funny violence there, but I don't think you ever feel particularly unsafe in the way that you can do in, say, London or other places. Okay. And I think that's kind of caused from like, you know, the economy grows, but not everybody fucking sees it.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were saying that the populace is richer with growth, which that almost never happens, right? I mean, I think because money funnels upwards, right?
Yeah, they've managed to stay in line with the growth. They're not struggling for their survival that badly. There are some areas which definitely are. There's still food banks and stuff, don't get me wrong. But I think comparatively to the rest of the UK, actually the levels of inequality and the levels of deprivation haven't quite got as bad as they have in other places.
Okay. Well, how many people roughly live there?
If you're talking about Newcastle itself, you're probably talking only about 250,000, 300,000. Okay. But then in the outskirts, you have like, you know, lots of places that consider themselves Newcastle, but are towns or villages or suburbs associated with Newcastle. Right. And that would probably push up the population to, I don't know, maybe 500,000-600,000, maybe even more.
Okay, that's a lot. Yeah, it sounds like the average Polish city, I guess.
It's the dedicated comedy clubs. There's the
Stan Comedy Club.
Okay, just one?
Which is just the one, like, purpose-built. We're talking about purpose-built 24/7.
Yes.
Well, not 24/7, but, like, every night that's comedy. The Stan Comedy Club, and they're pretty big. They're pretty much the reason I've made it, so props to them, shout out to them. They really helped me when I was starting with my career. There's also an organisation called Felt Now, which is, like, the first ever socialist cooperative of comedians to try and spread the work evenly, and it was basically set up in the pandemic in an attempt to like set up Zoom gigs, just things that the Northeast weren't particularly getting quick on. Like the podcast scene in the Northwest would like have a word, Hot Water Comedy Club, a lot of the things going on in Manchester is really big, but even just running local gigs, like there's so many areas of the Northeast, not necessarily Newcastle itself, place you can get to in 40 minutes, 35, your Stocktons, your Sunderlands, your Seahams, your Corbridges, your Hexham, where, you know, somebody runs a pub, they would happily put on a comedy night, but we just never made the effort to try and link up with these businesses and make these things happen. And so they're doing that at the minute. I'm part of that. They're really good. They've got a purpose-built comedy club in Whitley Bay as well, which is by the beach area of Newcastle, which is beautiful, but fucking freezing. Yeah, I can imagine. It's called Laurel's Comedy Club. On a Friday, Saturday night at Whitley Bay, but I'd say they're the two main organisations and the two main nights. And then there's Long Live Comedy, which is the open mic that's been there every Tuesday for about 15 odd years.
Dude, fucking hell, what's going on?
If you're going on tour in the UK, do you have that thing that like some Americans do, or like maybe even Polish people, considering that you have a different set of material for, I don't know, this region, or for like going out of the bigger cities? Or different,
particularly because I used to do a lot of satire in politics, and particularly like when Brexit happened, you just like, I predicted Brexit to a percentage, and that was only because I was travelling and asked the question before I do my material about Brexit. I'd say like, who's planning on voting Brexit,
so you have to consider what they're voting there,
and then I would hear the response, and then I would be like, ha, okay, most of you guys are voting Brexit. Yeah, fuck the EU, man. That's stupid as shit. Right. Or like, oh, most of you guys are Remain. Fucking Brexit's a stupid idea. Why are we doing this? What the hell is happening? But like, I would switch it up on that, and I think like you kind of had to a little bit. But I try to find material that, while satirizing the entire issue, isn't particularly taken aside, which may be cowardly, but...
How do you do that with Brexit, though?
So I just bring things like... So I'd say one thing that like I kind of had both sides laughing was, back in the day, it's a bit dated now, but back then I would say like apparently Nick Griffin of the BNP, so Nick Griffin is the leader of the British Nationalist Party, so like for an American equivalent, like the leader of the KKK called Nigel Farage, who would be a bit more like
more acceptable,
maybe Trump or I don't know, like somebody like Ted Cruz, I don't know, somebody who's like that, a bit more well-spoken,
a nice racist,
and a bit less overt about the racist aspects of it.
Polished
like, this was a true news story. It was like Nick Griffin called Nigel Farage racist, because apparently Nigel Farage just wants to ban Eastern European immigrants, whereas Nick Griffin wants to ban us all. That's what he said. That's what he said. And I was like, talk about the pot calling the kettle a packy. Now, people on the left laugh because, like, I don't know if you listen to Polish, you don't quite get that. It's like the turn of phrase, the colloquialism, talk about the pot calling the kettle black. And so people on the left would laugh at that because they laugh at the irony. Then people on the right would laugh at that because they just laugh at the racist language. Like, I don't like that. I'm just here to do a job, man. I don't really care about much. Try to get some money, make this thing work, continue with my life.
All right, gotcha. You don't ever have that tinge of doubt or like that they're laughing too much at the racist jokes or whatever it is, like that, like Dave Chappelle shit. Where
yeah, I get that, and like I do get it, and I do get it with like particularly when Chris Rock said it about the difference between the black word, and the black word, and the N word and black people. So he has that bit like, I hate black people, I just hate Childish Gambino's a great bit about how like he wasn't allowed to use the N word in his house, so he just changed it to vampires. It's like, I hate black people, I just hate vampires. But like so like I remember being like when I was 18 and I went to Rome. I'm talking to some guy from Texas and he's in cowboy boots. And I'm like, like I heard Texas is a pretty divided place. What's the race relations like there? This fat white guy just quotes the Chris Rock bit to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe racists are adopting this. I don't know. And you don't know. You can never work out what's going on in people's brains. I had a guy come up to me, and I have a joke where it's like, I'm a Geordie Indian man, or if you'd rather, a Newcastle brown male. Probably wouldn't be much. You might know the beer from America, Newcastle brown ale. So it's just a pun on that. Like it works in England. Easy, one letter change, and like that is me, Newcastle brown male. And so I did that in Sunderland, and this guy come up to me and he said, I loved your jokes about your lot, mate. What was your opener? I'm a Newcastle fucking packy.
Oh fuck!
What? That's not even a pun. Wait, how did you get that so wrong? Like,
doesn't even rhyme.
Just reinterpreted it in his head.
That's not a drink. I've never had a Newcastle fucking acky in my life. Jesus. And like, you can't worry about these things, but I feel like it's twofold.
You can't control it, right?
I feel like it's not your job to be the thought police or like babysit people's minds, but also I feel like even if you look at that guy was trying to be nice. He was trying to be kind. He got things horribly wrong, but I don't want to boil people's humanity down into words or just how they perceive things. And I think in terms of that, like that guy probably has never met an Asian guy in his life. Probably never actually humanized or had a proper one-to-one discussion with an Asian person. And I feel like me doing those kinds of jokes and going, like we can laugh at ourselves. We're not as offended as the papers will tell you. We're not all trying to ban Christmas and this, that, and the other. We're quite happy to live in harmony side by side. I think that will do more for like actually winning over minds and imaginations than just sort of going in and being like, oh, you guys are laughing too hard at my jokes. You guys hate brown people, that's why you're laughing at me. It starts with laughing at my jokes and ends with me hanging on a tree. I know how this goes. Like, I don't know. I think, like, I don't know. Hatred for me is a bit more by the book, a bit more plain, a bit more straight. And, like, it does happen, but I think I would know the difference between working people, and like someone like Nigel Farage is like, oh, maybe I could use this guy to like
where he's cynically exploiting all that.
Like so you lived in Saudi Arabia all your life, by the way. Where did your heritage from?
I lived in Saudi Arabia all my life, but I'm from Syria.
But you're from Syria, so Syrian heritage. You live in Saudi Arabia. I'm sure you had some uncomfortable discussions here, or just some discussions.
Oh, definitely.
And I think like in
discussions
the West,
is a big word for people yelling shit at you.
Oh, okay. So that's different. Statements in the street is different.
Yeah.
But say like the statements in the street, you feel that, and you feel the fear that comes with that, and you feel that. When you're like discussing something with somebody in a bar and they ask a question, I think in the West, in America, in the UK, we're obsessed with these microaggressions and these little catchphrases that like work as rhymes, but don't really work as a actual argument. Like silence is violence. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. Like, if silence is violence, what are you doing for the Rohingya people? What are you doing for Yemeni people? What are you doing for Ukrainians, Palestinians, the Jews that are assaulted in you? You could just go on for every single, like, it's ridiculous. It rhymes, it sounds nice, but like, this is why society is built on 2,000 years of civilization, not 140 characters. But like, we're obsessed with these microaggressions in the West.
Yeah,
and like I don't think I think you kind of just have to get over that.
Someone told me that the racism, let's say in the U.S., most of the people who are racist, they're racist towards people that they never met. Let's say it's a brown guy, they'd be like, "Oh, I'm racist against all, let's say, brown people."
Yeah,
but then their neighbor, they know Rajesh. Yeah, and they fucking love it. It's just like, oh, Rajesh is not one of them.
He's one of the good ones.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it goes.
And I just feel like telling those people they're wrong when the evidence around them clearly shows they're wrong. Yeah, that's not a way that they're going to change their mind. That's just, if anything, going to make them hate Rajesh. Exactly. I can't hang around with Rajesh no more.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucked up my consistency. My whole character arc is ruined here.
Fucking love Rajesh, man.
Yeah, I think you have those meetings in politics, that, and I feel like, when people ask you like, where you're from, where you're really from, I can get up my ass about that, but it's not worth it, really. The person's just trying to find out some shit that they don't know.
Yeah.
Do you get where are you really from a lot?
Oh yeah, particularly in Europe, man. You Europeans are bad for it. Where are you from? England. Where are you really from? Just rubbing their face. Like Japan, clearly.
Yeah. Did you spend time in Japan?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I've never been to Japan. Been to Iceland, North America, America itself, all over, Canada, Mexico, Guatemala, Cuba, pretty much all of Europe, Dubai and India, and I think that is it.
Yeah, that's a lot. Did you do comedy in Iceland?
Just an open mic, went really well.
Yeah.
Some stuff about Iceland, and they quite like the dark humour there.
Yeah. Was it English language?
Sorry?
Was it an English language open mic?
Yeah, I wasn't speaking Icelandic, bro. I don't speak
but I thought maybe it was a, Icelandic show or audience, and you just came in with an English set.
Yeah, but like, I mean, their English is better than mine.
Yeah.
In Iceland, the Netherlands, their English is better than mine. Anybody's at it where it's like weird like that is I did the Netherlands one time, in like this village called Hoorn. So I asked my friend who lived there, who's married to a Dutch woman, like what he knows about this place. And he's like, bro, it's like the smallest place ever. It's like a farming village of 6,000 people.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's only known for the De Boer brothers, who are two famous Dutch footballers. And like they have a sport there where they pole vault over rivers. And it's like, okay, great. Whatever. I can work with that stuff. I can like work into material, just see if they're related to it. Like, yeah. And then I go in, and then like I get told by the promoter that like everyone's really old there for a start.
Yeah.
Everyone's really old. They're. So that's my alarm, but it's in my bag. It will go off in like a second. I promise. It's always awkward when a brown man says that. But
no, it's okay. Do you know what's more awkward? If you're Muslim and you downloaded the app for every single time there's a prayer.
Oh,
I had that go in embassies, in hospitals, in fucking district offices, in my university.
3 times a day, yeah?
Did you ever see the DJ who like remixed that and like got banned from Tunisia for life?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know him. I don't know what happened, but I would expect it. Like, why the fuck would you do that?
I think he was from Newcastle, or he was really big on the Newcastle scene. We had like a huge techno scene. We used to have the Swedish House Mafia play before they were even like significant. I will get back to the Dutch story if you want.
No, that's fine. But you remixed the call to prayer,
so
he
flew to Tunisia and was doing a set, right?
Yeah.
And he remixed the Azan, the call to prayer, into like a techno remix. So you just see this video of what's quite clearly a white guy playing decks. The Azan's got like a thumping bass line behind it. And there are quite clearly all these Tunisian... It might be Tunisia, it might be Lebanon, but I think it was Tunisia. You've like clearly got all these young kids whose jaws are just moving left, right and centre. So there's clearly ecstasy or something in their systems. Yeah. And then basically like the next day, like the Tunisian like Facebook... The police of their Facebook page and Twitter page put out a statement being like, yes, we're aware of reports of the call to prayer being remixed illegally at some sort of illegally organised rave. We demand that the DJ, I can't remember his name, like hands himself in for arrest, and the DJ had to like flee the country, drive over the border, then fly out of like the next country and fly back, and like he's now banned for Tunisia for life. And if he ever goes, he's like in jail for like 5 years for like insulting Mohammed.
You shall not remix the call to prayer. Number 11.
Never do that. Never. That's why I don't talk about religion. Try to avoid it as much as possible. And now we're back in it. So back to your Dutch story.
The Dutch story. I forget. That's the thing. You forget. Like people like us, we can maybe joke about and move on. But like if you go back to Saudi Arabia, you could drop yourself in some real trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it was a disgusting thing that DJ did, and I fully stand with the...
of course. Yes.
Wahhabism for life.
No!
That's what happens when, you know...
Who told you to say that?
Look, the Saudi Arabia have owned my football club for a while. It's been very enjoyable.
They've been real nice to me.
Like Lionel Messi over next season. Wahhabism for life. I'm down for it. I'm down for it. You will get arrested. I won't get arrested. Give me my own camel and shit. But no, the Dutch story. So I go in this village, the promoter tells me that everyone's in Dutch except for me. I'm the MC.
Oh.
My job, bring energy in the room and make people feel comfortable.
That's it. Nice.
And so I'm just stood there. I do myself, and I walk up to, clearly as I'm starting to talk to them, I realise that they're so old that their English isn't that good. I don't know when the policy was that they installed English as a mandatory second language so that Dutch people could negotiate and get around the world better.
Okay.
But it probably was post-war, eh?
Yeah.
So these guys are all from the war. I'm telling them their English isn't that bad, but some of them I go to one guy and just hey man, how you doing, sir? You good? And he just starts to go, no, no, and I shit myself. I'm like, of course this guy have a stroke. What's happening? No, his like daughter or somebody next to him is just like laughing. She's just falling apart. I'm like, what's that? He's like, what he means is his English isn't very good. He doesn't want to be talked to. Yeah, okay. I'll move on. But then like I'm bringing acts on, and usually when I MC, depending on how much time I have in between the acts, I might do crowd work or I might just do a joke and then roll somebody straight on. And so usually in a show like that, I'd probably just do a joke based off what they say. I'd just watch it like, oh, that got a big laugh. I don't know what the hell was said. Like, what's any of this mean? And I just can't do anything based off what they've said. Like, oh, they were good, weren't they? Were they? I have no idea. Yeah, it was tough, man, nice. But it worked, and I had a good time. Took my money, went back to Amsterdam.
Nice. Would it be harder to crowd work in such countries where their culture is kind of like they respect their personal space? Just like when you talk to them, what? Where they, like in Iceland, for example.
Oh, okay. I feel like Poland is kind of like that, but
the Netherlands, particularly on stage, they're so unused to that kind of behavior that they really consider you. Like in the UK, they just consider it's your job. Like, you know what I mean? In Iceland, they just think you're something they've never seen before. Just this ball of extroverted energy. Because in Iceland and the Netherlands, they don't do that.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Just like when we meet an American.
That's insane. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
What the hell is good? But in the context of a stage, like, well, I have signed up for something here. Yeah. You know what I mean? I have signed up to be talked to. This is a live show, yada, 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 yada.
Yeah, but where they'll probably break all boundaries in crowd work.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're probably looking at like, I didn't even know you could do this in life. You know what I mean? It's probably inspiring for them.
Yeah. No, Poland was like that. I don't know about the crowd work specifically, but even the stand-up, just like 10 years ago, people were like, what the fuck is this? Why? I mean, a lot of comedians were even like, that are doing stuff now. They're like, oh, I didn't know you could do this, right? You could just go up on stage and talk sort of casually, and then fucking people laugh or whatever. So, yeah, you can still get all kinds of attitudes, I guess.
But I feel like in Poland, Eastern Europe is sort of like that legacy of like Soviet oppression.
Sure.
Which kind of means like there's just an extra edge to it where it's like, why do you want to know my business? Why are you coming at me? Why asking these questions, motherfucker?
There's a little bit of that, yeah.
Very much just keep to your own here. Where
quite a few people that,
in the Netherlands,
quite a few people
legacy.
You ask like, what do you do? And they would try to give a stupid, funny answer or whatever. Like,
well, that's in Polish. In our English audiences, that doesn't happen.
I guess not.
In Polish, people come to be the star. Like, oh, I'm not going to tell you. Why don't you guess?
Well, yeah,
there's fuck with English audience sometimes, but a bit. Most English people are aware that there is a stage.
Yeah.
Professionals have the microphone, but you do get the odd person who's like, oh, I'm gonna. There was a real big kerfuffle in the comedy community over an advert at the Fringe. It was like some lager or some beer or some alcohol who was sponsoring the Fringe.
Yeah.
This horrible cringeworthy advert where it was like, book your trip to the Fringe, and then they had like this description of what would happen, and it's like, you're on stage, the comedian makes a quip at you, you make a quicker quip back, the comedian leaves, you jump the stage and then deliver the most like just somebody gone and like been pulled up from the audience and then absolutely smashed the show like it was Britain's Got Talent or something, and every comedian was just like, what the fuck is this?
Some writer's
You're letting
fantasy.
these cunts sponsor the biggest arts festival in the world? You fucking serious?
So you get removed, bro. That's crazy. Well, what was the uproar in Poland about the advert where they said come for some exquisite rape jokes or something? With
what?
They wrote something about rape jokes in an event description, and some feminist fan page picked it up and spread it all over the fucking.
They're like high schooler anarchists. So I don't.
High school anarchists, very
I don't know.
Accurate.
At least some of the girls that were commenting on it later, it seemed like they were very young and didn't really know what the fuck they were talking about.
I don't think it's sensible to put out something like that, and whether it's tasteful or considerate or not. But at the same time, I find when people try and cancel these people or pull them down, like it's often people in school, it's people who don't have to deal with the reality of a financial existence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sort of.
Like having costs and don't realize what the consequences of taking someone's food away from their mouth actually is.
Yeah. No, I think it was misguided on both sides, where like they wrote a description for an event that was supposed to be hardcore, controversial, whatever. So they wrote like kind of controversial jokes which weren't that good in the description.
No.
And then I don't know if, of course, the people who comment on it and get the most upset weren't even there, so it's second or third hand. And then they like graffitied some shit, or it wasn't even graffiti. I think it was posters on the club that where the event took place.
Okay.
And it's like...
So there were, like, warnings. It's like, warning, this is what's going to be discussed.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of
here.
like what made it so silly.
If you
like,
show up...
No, it was more
this.
like this bar hosts rape jokes or something. It was like aggressive.
Oh, jeez.
From high school feminists. But they still did the show. It was sold out.
Hey.
Probably wouldn't have been otherwise.
Like, things like that really help with your marketing, your publicity. That shit gets in front of loads of eyes. I remember a guy called Evan Demaray. He's a Canadian comic, but he does like all over the world. He's one of those just people who live in a van type vibe. He doesn't live in a van, but he's always somewhere.
Right.
He's not Canada. He's in Australia. He's in Europe doing gigs. And he's doing the Fringe, and it was a compilation show. And he said something in the middle of like emceeing, and this woman snapped. Like, was uncontrollable. It wasn't even like that big a thing. And she left, and like the next day she came back with like, she made her own flyers.
Oh, wow.
Telling people not to see Evan's show because it was sexist, and this is what happened to her in the show.
Wow.
His show sold out for the rest of the run. I'm not paying for that type of publicity.
Yeah,
It's exactly what you want.
Thank
My
you.
whole Edinburgh show in 2019 was about me trying to deliberately get myself cancelled. That's a route to money.
Are you on Are you on Twitter?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter.
Of course you are. So you never had any shit like that happen to you on?
No.
Unfortunately, not.
Twitter is where they get
not,
you.
Not big enough on Twitter, and I'm a bit too cautious about it on Twitter. I really should just start throwing things to the wind. But it's more just like I try to think like 10 years ahead. You know, like what happens if I end up doing kids TV or something like that. That's just the way that my life pans out. Or get some good roles, and they're like, oh, he said this in 2007, so we can't have him on this TV show.
Sure.
So I try and not put too many things on Twitter. In clubs, if I'm given the license to, if I feel like they're liking dark humor, and I move towards it. But
right.
You can... Oh, no, these days, fucking... if silence is violence, fucking speaking is actual violence.
Yeah.
You know
At the same time, I also think it's like almost hard to say something that is... I mean, so many types of jokes have already been done. It's like, what's controversial anymore? Actually, it's like the benign shit, like I don't know, saying I mean, Ricky Gervais can totally say a woman with a dick, blah blah blah, that kind of joke.
Yeah, his entire special.
And nobody really gives a shit that much. So I don't know, what do you have to say on Twitter now to other than that to get people riled up?
Like, it's all been said at this point.
Like pedophilia jokes are not, that's long gone. Making fun of religion, maybe if you expect a response from a radical jihadist or whatever.
But definitely. The only thing that you see, the only comment that you see, a lot of people try to avoid talking about Islam.
Yeah.
If you have witnessed.
Yeah. I mean, there's like a whole group of mentally unstable people on American Twitter that will follow you around if the right person retweets you or whatever, but I think it's actually hard to get that kind of attention. You might as well hire your own bots and fucking
if you can just
get them to cancel you.
That's not a bad idea. Hire like an army of bots to get offended by your jokes.
Yeah.
Put yourself as the most cancelled
It's the next
comedian.
step.
Do you think it's kind of weird how the pendulum sort of swung?
Yeah.
Like back in the day, like at least when I was coming up, it was like the Christian conservative right.
Right.
And it was like the Westboro Baptist Church and like all these people protesting stuff like South Park and abortion and all these other kind of things. It kind of shifted from the Christian conservative right to the like anarchist left.
I guess.
You know what I mean? It's people who are offended on behalf of feminism or ethnic minorities or transgender rights, but they're the ones now screaming, holding up picket signs and trying to cancel shows and shit like that. I just find it an interesting switch.
I think conservatives still do their share of whining, and they have actual power, whereas these
I think they do.
Thems on Twitter, they don't really do much. They don't have much.
I think they do,
push.
and I think they definitely co-op, but I think like they've sort of cultivated this whole alt-right thing sort of cultivated a space for itself of like, oh, did they cancel you? Come over here to our warm arms. You know what I mean? Like, they've sort of cultivated themselves as the place of free speech, and I don't feel like the left have particularly helped that in any way. Like, I feel like we've sort of been constructed towards it, sort of.
Sure, I guess.
Makes sense.
And for them, it's like a badge of honor now, almost, right? It's, the mainstream media cancelled you if I can come over here.
Even amongst comedians, it was always a so-called badge of honor being called a so-called comedian. Like if somebody on Twitter gets offended by your joke and calls you a so-called comedian, it's like, I got fucking tax receipts. I can show you I have been a so-called comedian according to the government for some time now. But not your government. Oh shit. I'm not getting paid for this podcast, am I? So I suppose it's fine. It's leisure. But if you get called a so-called comedian, that was like a badge of honor. So from that perspective,
the Daily Mail writing about you, or
getting cancelled is sort of like badge of honor, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And it does it does seem like it's some of the best craftsmen these days. Whether you want to say like that particular joke or that particular special wasn't very good, I don't think you can look at their body of work and go like, that's not good. Do you know what I mean? If Joe Rogan, Jimmy Carr, Ricky Gervais and Dave Chappelle are all in this club, like, I want to be in that club. That's a club of good comedians. I want to do talking funny with them motherfuckers. But then also, like, silence is violence, or these jokes are violence. But then, like, Chris Rock getting smacked. Oh, well, he deserved it. It was abuse, what he said. Do you know? Like, wait, how's actual violence not violence? But because he, like, took the piss out of alopecia, that is violence. What? This is a very dangerous... I don't think fucking Putin has just invaded Ukraine with a bunch of alopecia jokes. Like, he used violence, force.
No, it's insane. I don't think that's even that stuff that people get on. It's not even like, it's not even really leftists. It's just liberals that are, like you said, overly focused on optics, because all the corporations do is, like, you know, change their profile picture to a rainbow, and that's it. That counts as progress.
Corporate wokeism.
Corporate. It's the worst kind.
Money, so we're not going to talk about the actual class, economic issues.
Any of real issues.
This is our battleground. This is how we'll be good people, and the world is all about us being good people.
And then all the people you named, by the way, if so, whether you call them canceled or not, they're all doing fine. Like Joe Rogan's the biggest fucking podcaster.
They're very big to talk about.
I don't mean cancelled, at least in its conventional sense. I mean, there's been attempts at cancelling them, but I wouldn't say like...
It's not going to
they never got cancelled. But if they get shot, you never know. Could happen. The guy whipped out a fucking knife, a replica gun on Dave Chappelle.
You mean,
So it can't happen. They could still get cancelled. I mean, really cancelled. Physically cancelled.
I guess so.
Cancelled into the next life if you're a Hindu. But they could get cancelled. I just mean, like, I suppose... Yeah, I mean, some of it just to do with perception these days and what connotations you add to every word. Like, when I say cancelled, I don't mean cancelled like you mean it. You mean it like actually cancelled.
Well, yeah, like actually influenced your career.
But I mean, I think it influenced their career. I just don't think it necessarily like ended it or really reduced their opportunity. I think it did reduce some of the opportunity. Dave Chappelle was livid about how he couldn't get his movie out in the aftermath of his trans thing. But I mean, I wouldn't say they're cancelled, they still got opportunities. But I just mean, I think face an undue level of scrutiny. And I do think comedians face a level of scrutiny higher than fucking king. I feel like the clown is held to a higher standard than the king nowadays. And I feel like that is the biggest threat to democracy.
Yeah. That is ridiculous.
Like, you know, Jimmy Carr had people protesting outside of his show because he made a joke about killing gypsy people.
Really?
Yeah, the joke was everyone talks about the 6 million Jews that died in the Holocaust, but nobody wants to talk about the 100,000 Roma gypsies that died because nobody wants to talk about the positives. That was the joke. It's from a show literally called His Dark Materials.
Yeah.
If you watch the show, the opening line is him going, this show is all of the jokes that are going to get me cancelled. Yeah. This show is based on the premise that doing a rape is not as bad as joking about a rape.
Sure.
And if it is... well, I'm going to prison for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that's the whole premise. So you take it out of context, it was really mean, but then I have all these people protest outside. Like a week before, the UK government had banned the traveller way of life.
What? Oh, okay.
So the way travellers live that, how they organise that, it's got made illegal by the government a week before Jimmy Carr got cancelled for this joke.
Wild, yeah.
And I'm like, why aren't you... It's clearly like... a bigger issue at hand here.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Carr, of all people...
Is this about cancelling Jimmy Carr or actually uplifting marginalised travelled people? And oftentimes it's about cancelling Jimmy Carr.
Yeah.
I feel like because they can't tumble down the politicians or the kings.
Yeah.
But they can at least... You know, like...
the clown's easier.
Exactly. It's like when you have a big project but you can't get it done, so you go out cleaning your house or whatever. This is kind of like the example where
it's
they do it.
It's a subconscious thing to make you feel good, not actually to in any way like conducively concert yourself towards building a better world.
Now here's what conservatives do, or at least extremists. They do kind of the same, but all of that pressure from the outside world, they bring it into the inside, and they start whooping everyone's asses, you know, his wife, his children, or whatever, but it's private. You see? They cancel each other, and eventually they might, hopefully, get divorced, but they don't really end up getting divorced.
They do kind of keep it inside,
exactly. It's always remains under the carpet. Yeah,
like meth-fueled gay motel sex.
Exactly. Smile away.
But the wife is like, yes, I stand by my husband.
Yeah,
he's a great man.
That's the only difference.
Yeah.
It's weird.
That is funny. I like that idea of the political procrastination. Though.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
well, I can't. I'm not gonna go out and collect signatures or protest. Even maybe we'll just try attacking some asshole to a 50-person show in Warsaw somewhere.
Man, I remember this open mic we used to go to. There used to be a grandma, local, not local, but it was local. This grandma, she used to show up at every single show. She was, I don't know, 60, 70 years old. She never spoke with anyone, as far as I know. And whenever that we are she never left, mind you. She always showed up, sat in like the third row, watched all of the comedians, and then just disappeared without even like talking to her at the end of the show. And I'm very suspicious. Why would there be a grandma at the show? And she would never speak with anyone. So very suspicious.
Is a spy from the Saudi embassy checking on you? That's the least conspicuous one they could find.
Got me nervous, man.
Islam is like Voldemort for you. You can't say its name. It's always in the back of your head. No. There is a lot of fucking face coverings. Like
turban is involved somewhere along the line.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. I don't.
You never know. Could have just been a bored pensioner, you know, that had no friends to go to a comedy show.
I don't recall. Yeah. Did she keep coming like again and again?
Yeah. She's like Asian.
Asian.
Oh, she's Asian.
That old and Asian.
Old and Asian, so you know she's like 100 years old, bro.
I don't recall, bro. But
I don't know if that changes anything. Yeah.
Like Asian, like me Asian, or like East Asian?
No, like East Asian, like Korean and stuff, like Vietnamese.
I was gonna ask if she's Polish, but then
like
she never spoke to anyone, so you don't know.
She's like Vietnamese.
Then
Polish.
How the fuck you know she's 60? She could be 32. She could be 87, bro.
No, but you know how Asians, they never like they're. You can find a 60-year-old Asian, but when you ask her, she's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm 60," but what you would guess is she's 30 or something. Asians, they don't.
That's what. Yeah,
that's
you guys are making the some joke just poorly.
Apparently, I don't understand English.
English comprehension module.
Joke and then recite it back to him, but badly.
Yes.
Fuck. Yeah, she's probably a spy from Kim Jong Un or something.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
that makes sense. They do have a lot of money for that crazy bullshit.
So shall we?
Have no money for food.
Shall we wrap it up with what do you think about Warsaw, Raul? How did you enjoy your stay? Did the show on Sunday?
Warsaw, man. Thank you guys for the hospitality. It's been lovely here. You really get to see a lot of different sides of the town. The City Centre is very looks like fucking you're on the set for Blade Runner or something. Yeah. Very dystopian. Very like futuristic.
Right?
Probably some great place to do psychedelics in. A lot of lights, a lot of shadows, a lot of colours. The bad part of town is pretty cool as well. I did the gig and like that vibe. I'm going to go see the castle today. Comedy scene's wonderful, burgeoning, growing here. As soon as one of you gets your own venue, sets up a Warsaw comedy club, puts that shit on TripAdvisor.
Yeah.
Killing it money-wise.
Yeah.
It's going to be a duplex. It's going to be like a comedy show and a kebab shop.
That's the only way you can make a profit.
Fucking, you want to get heckled by someone sucking on his shisha? Blah, 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 blah. That would be something.
That'd be amazing. But yeah, man, it's a great city. And, if there's one thing I love, it's sleeping with a woman who doesn't have the right to an abortion. So yeah, love one night stands. No availability of contraception. Ready to be a father. So yeah,
a little bit of extra risk.
Great time, guys. Great time. I'm looking forward to my last day here. Yeah.